Hey, it's Amy Brown from the Bobby Bone Show. Join me in supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for a chance to win a trip to meet Megan Maroney at the 2025 iHeart Country Festival in Austin, Texas on May 3rd, hosted by Bobby Bones. We're going to hook you up with tickets, flights, hotel, food credits, and a meet and greet with Megan Maroney. Take action now to support St. Jude and help cure childhood cancer, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win. Visit iHeartCountryTrip.com to learn more.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. You can find them online at gcopnet.com. Matthew Brune, part of the team over at the Bengal Tiger on 3 Network. Good enough to give us a little bit of time on this Monday talking LSU hoops. Matthew, how are you?
Hey, Hunt. I'm doing well. Yeah, like you said, basketball season's last day today for college basketball, so I'm doing well.
LSU's already on to next year, and they're doing so rather aggressively. Already 5 transfer portal additions to this LSU basketball program. Last week, you saw them get things rolling with Mike Nwoku from Mississippi State. They had De'Don Thomas from UNLV. Max McKinnon pledges from Portland. Then you get Rashad King from Northeastern. And then over the weekend, Marquel Sutton, the Summit League Player of the Year from up at Omaha. So you look at this group, and we'll kind of go through it man for man and kind of see what you think about it. But just big picture, how do you feel like the talent level looks for this next LSU basketball team?
Yeah, with these 5 additions, and then the Jalen Reed return, and we assume that Robert Miller will be back as well. I think this gives them a really, really good floor to have going into another year where the SEC is going to be ultra competitive. I think like you said, we'll go through all of them here, but at the very least, De'Don Thomas, DJ Thomas, for short, I think is a really high floor player with the way he can set people up. And if he's surrounded by more talent, which he will be this year, I think he's someone that can make a lot of players better around him. And the talent that they have now, and I also think the athleticism and experience, it's something that they just didn't have last year. I mean, for one reason or another, they had to play a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores. Now we see they've got a lot of seniors and a lot of experience in here now with this group.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to win a single league game next year, but they're going to be old when they go out there. You can guarantee that because of the guys that they've brought in here. So let's start with DJ Thomas, the point guard from UNLV. Your impressions of his first 2 years in college and what role he fills for LSU. We know that point guard has not been very good for 3 years under Matt McMahon. Yeah,
I think to keep it simple, I think to compare it to a Jalen Cook, he's bigger than Jalen Cook was. He's not as dynamic of a shooter as Cook was. Cook could really hit some threes off the bounce there, and that's not Thomas's strength per se. Not that he can't shoot, but he is a lot more of a playmaker and a guy who can get to the rim and at least get feet in the paint to really keep the defense off balance. He's just a great table setter. He has high-level reads, whether it's on the roll man or with kicking it out to shooters. I just think this is the point guard they've needed for a long time. They love McMahon loves running a lot of his offense through point guard spots, not as much of like a team type stuff where it's a Princeton offense or anything like that. He wants to get it to the point guard and let him make decisions. Thompson's coming off back-to-back years where he averaged 4+ assists. He led UNLV in scoring this past season. He's great in transition. I think you just have a really good all-around point guard who at 6'1", is strong and can hold his own defensively enough to where I believe in him to be a really positive player in the SEC.
On the wings, Max McKinnon, the transfer from Portland. Rashad King comes over from Northeastern. Both guys 6'5", 6'6", and scored a lot at their relative places. What do you think about their fit in the SEC and in the backcourt with DJ Thomas?
Yeah, two different type of players here. McKinnon is more of a scorer, more offensive focused here. I actually, a lot of people will look at his stats and say he's really just a shooter. I think you look at his numbers and in his production, he also had a really high assist rate for Portland. He was kind of the focal point for that team, albeit not a great Portland team, but he was still by far the best offensive player there, second team all WCC, and a guy who I think can do a lot for them. I kind of see McKinnon as more of a off-the-bench type player at this point, but I think that's a very productive and experienced player off the bench. King is a lot more versatile. Similar height, is at that 6'6", 6'7" size, defends really, really well. And then I think offensively is kind of just a do-it-all type guy. So I look at him, again, to kind of simplify it, as a Jai Bailey, but better shooter and bigger and stronger than what Bailey was. So you get that at a guard spot, I think you're looking at a really good player.
I'm really curious to hear your answer about Marquel Sutton, because it's an 18-point per game scorer, Summit League Player of the Year, 6'9", and you try to make that transition from the Summit League to the SEC. How do you see him fitting in at LSU?
Yeah, Sutton's the interesting one here, and I think Sutton has the most pressure on him. I mean, outside of probably DJ Thomas, but Sutton has a lot of pressure to be really good this season. And I know a lot of people go and look at his games against the top teams that Omaha faced, and it wasn't great. I would say Omaha won their league, made it to the NCAA tournament, and against the competition he faced consistently, he was the best in that conference. And I think physically and experience-wise, he is able to should be able to step up his game and be able to play off of much, much, much better talent around him at LSU as compared to Omaha. But yeah, there's a lot on his plate this year, even with Jalen Reed back and Robert Miller potentially back. I still think they're going to need Sutton for that front court spot to not just be a scorer, but kind of just be a do-it-all type guy. He hasn't shot the three ball as well as I think he wants to, and I think as LSU wants it to, but the free throw percentage is not bad, 74%. And then obviously defense rebounding has been such a problem for LSU, the past couple of years. I think that's going to be a big spot for him as well. So physically, I think he's capable. Now it's just about kind of putting it together with, the talent to where he's not going to have to be the first option for LSU. He probably won't even have to be the second option for LSU. But if he can be a good, 3 or 4 for them on every night, I think that's a really good get.
Did you see how many free throws he shot this year?
Let me go.
He shot 222 free throws. That's 110 more than Cam Carter shot for LSU, and he led LSU in free throw attempts. Between
him and DJ Thomas, that's another thing DJ Thomas does at a really good rate, is get to the free throw line. So you have those two now, and then even a guy, you get Jalen Reed back, obviously, who got to the free throw line well. I think King is also an athletic guy, gets to the rim. The amount of pressure they can put on the rim this year as compared to last year, and we don't even know who the other two pickups or 2 or 3 additions will be, but at this point, just the amount of pressure they can put on at the rim this year, I think, is going to be substantially different than a team that, Victorious Miller or Mike Williams or Jai Bailey, they just weren't able to really get there off the bounce. I think the way that this team is constructed right now should have a lot more variety in their offense.
Yeah, they put no pressure on the rim this past year. Just had nobody that could attack the rim consistently and score, which is a huge, huge problem when you're trying to put points on the board. Matthew Brune is our guest here, part of the Bengal Tiger team over there on 3. You mentioned 2 or 3 more ads. Is there a name? Is there a time frame? Is there a position that you're looking for that LSU would like to add to the mix here?
Yeah, they hosted those the Elon twins about a week ago. At this point, I'm not sure that those will be the additions. I think they might look a little bit more offensive, a little bit more shooting oriented with these last couple spots. I do think they're both going to be guards. One may be like a wing, another wing at 6'6", 6'7", but I do think they're going to look for guards to play off of DJ Thomas. Assuming Curtis Givens comes back, I have no problem with Curtis Givens as a backup point guard, even with the struggles he had in year one. I think it's reasonable to expect that he is able to take a step forward and be a consistent backup point guard for LSU this year. So I think they're fine at the point guard spot. I anticipate these two being off-ball guard additions here. And then also they are getting Jalen Reese, who's another point guard, to throw in the mix as a freshman as well. So I think they're fine at point. I would expect it to be 2s or 3s.
Let's talk about tonight's game. It'll be Houston and Florida for a title. I know you'll be locked in. I know that y'all have talked a bunch of Houston basketball. You've got a Texas basketball podcast. So how do you see it tonight?
Yeah, this is an incredible game. I do think Houston, if they can get out to a better start than obviously what they did against Duke, I think they are going to be much better suited playing from the lead here against Florida, where they can really impose themselves physically. I mean, such a tough team to break down. Walter Clayton's probably, he's had 20-plus, I think, in 9 of his last 10 games. He's been, in my opinion, the best player in the country the past month. And he's someone that can obviously break down anybody. But I think the physicality of Houston and the rebounding of Houston can match up well enough with Florida to where I do think they wear them down, kind of like how they wore Duke down. Duke, the last 10 minutes, had 1 field goal. I think Houston, at this point, this is kind of their year, and I think they're ready for it.
We shall see. One shining moment tonight from San Antonio. He's Matthew Brune. If you're looking for coverage of all your LSU hoops, men's and women's, they've got recruiting, they got football over there as well. It's the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 network. Thanks, man.
Hey, it's Amy Brown from the Bobby Bone Show. Join me in supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for a chance to win a trip to meet Megan Maroney at the 2025 iHeart Country Festival in Austin, Texas on May 3rd, hosted by Bobby Bones. We're going to hook you up with tickets, flights, hotel, food credits, and a meet and greet with Megan Maroney. Take action now to support St. Jude and help cure childhood cancer, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win. Visit iHeartCountryTrip.com to learn more.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Hunt.
He is Matthew Brune. One thing he mentioned that while we're on basketball, because we're going to leave basketball after this, Curtis Givens did not have quite the freshman year that I thought he might. Now, that's my personal expectations. I also, as I consider him moving forward for this LSU basketball program, he is a distributor, and he was playing on a team that didn't really have anyone for him to distribute to. That's a problem. Like, you've got a couple of guys in the front court that really aren't scorers. Like Damian Collins, Derek Fountain are not really scorers. And then you've got Jai Bailey on one of the wings who isn't really a scorer and doesn't really shoot. And like, so you put him out there, and yeah, Cam Carter is a scorer, but like, he doesn't really have anyone to distribute to. Plus, he's a freshman, and nobody else is playing freshman. So I'm hopeful that Curtis Givens, with another year of weightlifting, and then with a tool chest full of kids that can score on the floor with him, and while I figure he'll probably play, maybe 12 to 16 minutes, like maybe a step up for Curtis Givens in a role with a team that's more suited to his skill set. We'll see. Look, I'm cautiously optimistic about the ads that LSU has made from a basketball perspective. I'm certainly not here to sell you on them being a top 5 team in the SEC. I'm not telling you they're a tournament lock. I'm encouraged by the design of the team. How it comes together, I can't tell you right now. It's April the 7th. But they're going to be better than next year. Better than next year. They're going to be better than last year. That's my hot take. Scorching, sizzling hot take. I think they put together a better roster for 25-26 than they did for 24-25. But time will tell. All right, we come back. What are the Saints doing with Shedeur Sanders, and why are they the top of the odds to land the Colorado quarterback? That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. If you're a business, you trust your CPA. You open the books, you let them take a look. You trust your attorney. You let them into everything that's going on. You should have that kind of relationship with your insurance broker. Most don't. Most just look for that premium line. Okay, I'll switch to you this year. I'll split my lines of insurance because this is the best price. And that's one way to do it. I just would advise that you consider another way. And the Highland Insurance Group can be that way. They'll make sure that you're taken care of. You never know when that next storm's coming, when that car accident's going to happen, when that lawsuit's coming, when the cyber attack is coming because somebody clicked on an email they shouldn't have. When that happens, you want your insurance policy that you pay good money for to respond properly. And the Highland Insurance Group is going to make sure that you're taken care of. Contact Jonathan Carbo and the team at HighlandIG.com. They'll get you taken care of. They're based here in Baton Rouge. They can help you wherever you are in the state of Louisiana. If you'd like a second option on your insurance program, the Highland Insurance Group is happy to help you out. Find them online at HighlandIG.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, scanning, copying needs, Gulf Coast Office Products. Contact my guy Trey Beal here in Baton Rouge, wherever you are in the state of Louisiana. Gulf Coast Office Products can help you out like they do for us right here at Guarantee Media, where they handle all of our printing, scanning, copying. It's Gulf Coast Office Products. You can find them online at gcopnet.com. There was a point last year where the Saints were among the most boring franchises really to cover in the NFL. You had an old quarterback who was pretty mediocre. You had an aging roster that was really mediocre. You had what amounted to a lame duck coach who didn't give you much in the way of sound bites. Like, it just wasn't a very interesting operation. But you get into a coaching search, and that's certainly interesting, and the Saints landed Kellen Moore. And now you get to the draft, where I think the Saints may be in position to be the most interesting team in the draft. Why do I say that? Well, odds are coming out now from two different sports books that have the Saints as the favorites to draft Shedeur Sanders, plus 300. And if you're going to draft Shedeur Sanders, you're going to have to do it at 9. Now, we know how the draft works. You consider all of these potential options, but do you really want to buy into everything you hear pre-draft? Most of the visits that teams conduct are very much to vet a potential prospect. Some of the visits could potentially be a smokescreen. Now you've got Deion Sanders talking about the Saints and their color scheme. That looks a little like Colorado, and does that work? And you start to sit back, and I'm analyzing this going, okay, well, let me put all these clues together here. And you look at where the Saints are drafting at 9, and it behooves them very much to at least give the appearance that they're in the market for a quarterback. Why? Because here's what comes after the Saints in the draft. The Bears, they got Caleb Williams. The 49ers have got Brock Purdy. The Cowboys have Dak Prescott. Obviously, the Dolphins have Tua Tagovailoa. Anthony Richardson with the Colts, Michael Penix with the Falcons, Kyler Murray with the Cardinals. I'm already back to 16 by now. Then you've got the Bengals with Burrow. You've got the Seahawks who have Darnold. You've got Baker Mayfield at the Bucs. Now I'm at 19. At 20, you've got Bo Nix with the Broncos. 21, 12 picks later, the Steelers sit there, and they very much could be in the market for a quarterback. But that's 12 picks after the Saints. So you've got to give the appearances that you're in the market for a quarterback, because somebody may have to come in front of you. And if they do, to draft a quarterback that you don't want, great. You've got somebody that falls to you that would have been picked earlier, but teams are rushing to the front to quarterback. We know how franchises panic about quarterbacks, and they'll go up and do crazy things. And the Saints need to give that appearance. Now, they may want to draft Shedeur Sanders at 9, and that I'll talk about here in a second. But the trade aspect of this thing is so attractive. If the Saints could just pull off a trade to move back a little bit, it would finally answer the question we've been asking for 3 years. Like, are they willing to do something different? And I can only call it like I see it from right here and go, I doubt it. I doubt they would do that. But if the Saints do draft Shedeur Sanders, what does that mean? Well, to the original point, it's really interesting because you bring a dynamic talent in like that at quarterback. That's fascinating. And I'm not going to sit here, at least not today, 3 weeks out from the draft, and give you my complete analysis of Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback. Why am I not going to do that? Because NFL scouting departments can't even get this position right. I'm certainly not going to dive into that at this point in the calendar. The Saints draft him, I'll go do a little bit more legwork on that. But it's the biggest crapshoot in American sports is drafting quarterbacks. So I'm not going to give you a whole dissertation on that today. But I will tell you that I think the Saints, let me put it two ways. One, if you get it right and you draft him, you set your franchise up for 15 years. And that's ideal. You want to be in the position right now that Kansas City and Buffalo and Cincinnati and, go to the NFC and Jalen Hurts. You want to be in that position where you got your guy, now let's do everything else. And until you get your guy, it doesn't really matter. So if you hit, that's the greatest thing you can do in NFL football. But most of the time you don't hit. And the odds of you hitting at a different position are higher than hitting at quarterback. And the Saints have so many needs that the same way I told you about Jackson Dart is the same way I feel about Shedeur Sanders. It has less to do with their skill set and what I project them to be at the NFL. It has more to do with the fact that I'm looking at the Saints roster and going, just really plug a hole there at 9 instead of buying a lottery ticket on a quarterback that's probably not the 9th best player in the draft. And that's how I feel about Shedeur Sanders, the same way I feel about Jackson Dart. I don't want the Saints to draft a quarterback at 9 because I don't feel like their roster is at a point and these quarterbacks as prospects are at a point to make that marriage work at 9. Now, you do get a lottery ticket in that instance, and it may be the winner. And you may get 15 years of awesome play that opens your championship window immediately. But I feel like the Saints need to be in a different position. But if you give the appearances that...
Hey, it's Amy Brown from The Bobby Bones Show. Join me in supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for a chance to win a trip to meet Megan Maroney at the 2025 iHeart Country Festival in Austin, Texas on May 3rd, hosted by Bobby Bones. We're going to hook you up with tickets, flights, hotel, food credits, and a meet and greet with Megan Maroney. Take action now to support St. Jude and help cure childhood cancer, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win. Visit iHeartCountryTrip.com to learn more.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
You're in the market because nobody behind you can give those appearances. You can. So you can force some teams to come up, whether that's to your spot or in front of you. And if they do, you're at least going to bump one or two prospects back into your lap at 9. So it's an advantageous position for the Saints to be in. The question is, are they playing smoke and mirrors to try to facilitate that, and the betting markets are reflecting that, or are they really, really serious about making this happen? We know that they're talking to Shedeur Sanders. We know that they went and chatted with Cam Ward. We know that they've talked to Quinn Ewers. We know that they've talked to Kyle McCord. We know that they have shown some interest in Jalen Milroe. So they've got everything out there. And that part of it makes me think that they're interested in a quarterback, because that's a lot of resources to use on a smokescreen to draft somebody else. I feel like it's probably likely they're in the market. And I think it's probably likely that they draft a quarterback. I just can't quite bring myself to get on board with the fact that that may be a quarterback at 9. The betting markets say there's as good a chance as anybody. And maybe that's because they don't have a better team to pin it on. It would be a surprise if Shedeur Sanders, I think, was the second pick to Cleveland. And then once you start to get towards the back end of the top 10, like, you've got some teams that are settled at quarterback. So the draft is fascinating. The Saints are a fascinating piece of it. And at the very least, that's a shot of life in covering this group that wasn't necessarily there in November and December. It's going to be it's going to shape the future of the Saints in a massive, massive way, whatever happens over that 3-day period in Green Bay. I believe a quarterback will be selected at some point. I don't right now think it's going to be Shedeur Sanders at 9. But the betting markets disagree with me, and they're right a lot more often than I am. So we'll see. That's our look at the New Orleans Saints here on this Monday. If you're looking for Saints coverage, you can always find it at Hunt on Saints. Also, Ross Jackson doing a phenomenal job over at LouisianaSports.net. Got mock drafts coming out. Got 5 different prospects of the Saints could take it number 9. That's all up on the site and free at LouisianaSports.net. Step aside. We'll talk about tonight's title game next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Airline at Piku near Woman's Hospital. Look, it's all about luxury over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. When I say luxury, I mean 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on all new purchases. I mean 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. What could be better than that? You go to work, they come to get your car, they leave you a loaner, they take your Genesis back to the service aisle, handle all of your maintenance, complimentary and valet. They bring the car right back to you. You don't miss a beat, and you get the service that you need. 3 years of that with every new Genesis purchase. It's just a difference. Get behind the wheel. You'll see it. Deal with their staff. You'll see it. Walk through the dealership. You'll see it. There's a difference in being a Genesis driver. Most of you listening to this have never gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis. It's fairly new to the game, new to Baton Rouge, only been at that location, Airline of Piku, for 2 years. Just give it a shot. Genesis of Baton Rouge. Check them out online, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
So, Saturday evening, the Myers man and his grandfather and I went to New Orleans to the Superdome for Monster Jam. We'll talk about Monster Jam briefly and take it or leave it. Not really the point of this story. But on the way home, I was listening to the Duke-Houston game on our airwaves, and the last thing I heard as I was pulling into my neighborhood was the technical foul on the Houston player for touching the ball while it was out of bounds in the Duke hands, and that sent Knipple to the line, and he made the free throw to make it a 6-point lead under a minute to go. So it's after 10 o'clock. I pull in the driveway. Myers has got to get out of the car. He's sleepy. I got to put him in bed. I got to take a shower. I'm thinking Duke, who is among the best free throw shooting teams in the country, is going to be able to salt away a 6-point lead with 50 seconds to go, whatever it was. So I didn't even think too much of it. And I get back to my laptop when I get home into the kitchen counter after I put him to bed and take a shower, and ESPN.com pops up, and Houston's won the game. I go, well, I got to go see how this happened. So I go back and look at the highlights, and I'm watching the breakdowns. I don't have much other to offer than that's a gag. That's choking the game away. I know that Houston is tough and relentless and the best defensive team in the country, and it's no picnic to inbound the ball against them. But you got to inbound the basketball in the Final Four, okay? We can't throw it away with a 3-point lead in the Final Four. And they did. And Houston made the plays they had to make to get it done. And I've seen some criticism of the action that Duke ran to get flagged the shot that could have put him ahead there at the end. In watching the play, they cleared out one side of the floor for the best player in college basketball. He took it off the dribble and got a 10-footer. It was contested, but that's a pretty good look for him. That's probably a 50% shot, and he left it short. I didn't have a huge problem with it. I think the idea there is to isolate Flag. You get him on one of the best defenders in the country, the best defensive team in the country. He didn't quite make it, but I didn't have an issue with that. I had an issue with the 40 seconds that preceded it where Duke couldn't execute basketball, and that's why they lost the game.
Yeah, it's like you said, Duke's the consensus, not consensus, but considered to be the best team.
I thought they were the best team.
And they were up 9 points with 2 minutes left. It just you don't see this happen very often, especially with a team of Duke's caliber. And
if you throw the ball, catch the ball, and make free throws,
then you win
with up 9 with 2 minutes to go.
And you don't even have to make both. You just got to at least make one pretty much every time. And unless they're making threes every time they get the ball, then maybe they have a chance. But still, just man, that was tough. And then the foul on Flag there at the end after the free throw was, I could go either way on that. That's a tough call, I think, in that situation.
I tried. I knew the results of the play, which hurts. I can't watch it in real time. I just told you I didn't watch it in real time. But I watched it and I went, I don't think I would have blown that whistle.
No, I don't think I would either.
I can see where it came from.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of these people. This is one of the things I don't like at all. When you hear the person say, well, you got to let them play.
No,
you don't. The rules are the rules.
If it's a foul, it's a foul.
They're the rules the whole game. So I don't, the rule, you don't have a foul when there's 16 minutes left and not a foul when there's 16 seconds left. I probably wouldn't have blown the whistle there.
Yeah.
But people love to throw conspiracy theories out and talk about how Duke gets all the calls. Well, that's the poster child for Duke there, and he certainly did not get the call there. So Florida beats Auburn, and Houston comes back and beats Duke. And what you're going to get tonight in San Antonio is two teams that are old, two teams that are absolutely as tough as nails. If you watch Florida, the way they closed out UConn, the way they closed out Auburn, and you look at Houston and the toughness that they played with to beat the most talented team in the country down that much that late in the game, you're just getting two teams that are simply not going to flinch tonight. And that's incredible stuff. Now, Houston has done an excellent job all tournament long at dealing with primary scorers. Those guys are always going to get their points, but how hard do they have to work to get them? And if you watch, it's really hard. So Walter Clayton might get 25 tonight, but does he get 25 on 8 of 13 shooting, or does he get 25 on 8 of 19 shooting?
Which is what Flag did. Flag had 27, but he was 8 of 19.
And I just pulled that number out of my head, but that's working. And if you were listening to Matthew Brune earlier on in this hour, Duke had one field goal, I think, in the last 8 or 9 minutes of the game. That's because you have to work so hard on every possession to get a good shot against Houston. If you don't work hard on the offensive end, you're never going to get by Houston to initiate any offense. They make you exert yourself 1 through 5 to get a shot. And I'm just blown away by Kelvin Sampson's ability to coach, because a lot of times schools like Houston, which was until very recently a school in the American, they get one good team. Boom, you pop a team, and maybe that gets the coach a new job, but you usually don't restock the shelves.
Hey, it's Amy Brown from The Bobby Bone Show. Join me in supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for a chance to win a trip to meet Megan Maroney at the 2025 iHeart Country Festival in Austin, Texas on May 3rd, hosted by Bobby Bones. We're going to hook you up with tickets, flights, hotel, food credits, and a meet and greet with Megan Maroney. Take action now to support St. Jude and help cure childhood cancer, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win. Visit iHeartCountryTrip.com to learn more.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
They're just good every year. They're really good every year. And he's not doing it with a ton of five-star recruits. Look, they got Chris Sinek signed for next class, but they're doing it with a bunch of guys that fit the system that Kelvin Sampson wants to play with. And they finally found the recipe, which we talked about on Friday, where now they can shoot and defend. That's a hard combination to find, but they found it at Houston. And you're looking at two great coaches, two great rosters, two old rosters, two clutch rosters, and two groups of guys that have they've stared elimination right down the face and shoved back. I mean, UConn had Florida. I was confident in the last 2 minutes of that game that Danny Hurley was going to get UConn to the finish line. And Walter Clayton just said no. And kind of the same thing happened against Auburn over the last 4 minutes of that game. It was Clayton taking over. And Houston, more so than any team in college basketball, has the perimeter defenders to make his life tough. But are there other guys on that Florida roster that are ready to step up and pick up some of the slack, whether it's Haw or Chinyelu, to do some things in the front court? Clayton's probably going to handle what goes on in the back court, but in the front court. I think the efficiency that Clayton plays with is probably the key in this game. And then what's always important, and I always feel like when I'm trying to break down a basketball game, preview a basketball game, this feels like a cop-out thing to say, but I don't feel like you can break down a basketball game without saying it. You are going to have to make shots, and Houston has been a really good shooting team all year that hasn't shot it as well in the tournament as they did most of the season. Florida, outside of Clayton, has had some issues shooting the three ball. So big deal. You got to make some threes. I mean, Alabama was the most hilarious outlier of the whole thing when they threw 25 of them in. You don't have to do that, but if one of the teams does have one of those nights where you shoot 3 out of 19 from three, like that's going to be a loser. So I'm all in on this game. I think you've got high-level teams, high-level defense, high-level shooting. You've got star power with Clayton. I think it's going to be an awesome game. I think it's going to come down to the last 90 seconds. And I felt like when I woke up this morning and made that declaration that's where I was going to go on the show today, I felt like that would be in the minority. I feel like most people would pick Florida. That hasn't been the case. Brune said earlier he thought Houston would win. Both guys that wrote the preview on the game for ESPN.com had Houston winning. I think I saw John Rothstein also pick Houston as well. It just feels like that's a team that's not going to be denied. I completely wrote them off on Saturday night, although I was just listening to the game. And they just, again, we're not going to be denied. I think Sampson is the better coach in this game. And I think that they've just built to a level where they're ready to climb this mountain for good. This is their second Final Four, and they've finally broken through. They're in the title game. I think they get it done in this game tonight in San Antonio. Haven't seen the number. I'll pull that up right now. Just one click away. But it was hovering around 2 last I saw. 1.5 Florida is favored. I'll take Houston to win the game. 140.5 is the over-under. That dictates the game be played in the 60s. I'd probably take the over on that. I think they're good enough guards to get over that number, but I'll take Houston to win the game, probably in the low to mid 70s. Beck, your thoughts on the national final?
Yeah, this is this is going to be an interesting matchup with Houston. Since they're after the first round game, all their wins, their games, they've been scoring. They scored in the 60s. They scored 70 against Duke. So I don't think 70 is going to get them a win against Florida. So I think they're going to have to score a little bit more than they had the last few rounds. Let's see if they can do that. And I've been saying that I've liked Florida the last few weeks just because they're so deep. They have so many guys they can bring off the bench, and Houston hasn't really showed to be very deep. I think they pretty much play 5 or 6 guys pretty much the whole game. So are they going to be able to have are they going to be able to show a little bit of depth, because they're probably going to need it against a team like Florida that can rotate more guys in than Houston has this tournament. So I like Florida in the game. I know you like Houston. I like Florida in the game just because of how amazing. And Walter Clayton, yeah, he's been on one of those runs. Like you think back to, like, I saw Seth Greenberg say Kemba Walker type run. That's kind of where I think about when with the way he's played. Is he going to be? Is it like you said? Can Houston slow him down? Maybe they can get him to be a little bit inefficient. If they can do that, I still think Florida has enough depth overall to get it done. So I still like Florida.
It's a good team, no question. Is the 7:50 Central Time start too late?
7:50 is
that's an 8:50 start time
Eastern
in the East
time.
Coast.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I don't think it's good. I'll say that. I would say that 6:30 is a lot better. But I mean, it's the national championship, so I guess they think that even if it's a little bit later, they'll still have a nice viewership. That's pretty late.
It is really late. I mean, you're talking 8:50. The game's going to be over
probably
after
10,
11 in the Eastern Time zone. So that's late on a Monday night, but I'll be up for all of it. I got to see one shining moment. Looking forward to that.
Of course.
So we'll see. I'm on Houston. Becky is on Florida in tonight's final. We'll take one more time out, come back and close it out.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Always love telling you about One Bath and Closets. David Duvall and his team been at it for 30 plus years, remodeling and redesigning bathrooms and closets. If I can paint this picture for you, if you've got a bathroom that was built in the 80s or 90s, there's a pretty good chance you've got one of those big tubs. You may not use it. If you've got one of those stand-in showers kind of small over in the corner of the bathroom, you can turn that into a closet and then take that tub space and convert that into a walk-in shower. Completely changes the aesthetic and the functionality of your bathroom, add a little bit of value to your home as well. Just one of the solutions that David Duvall and his team have. Maybe you don't even know what you could do, and you just like to have a discussion with David about what's possible in the bathroom or in the closets. They can make that happen for you. You go to onebathandclosets.com, request that free consultation, and just talk it out with David and his team. They've got financing options available for you, including up to 18 months, 0% interest, same as cash, if you qualify for that. He's got a master plumber that is under contract with One Bath and Closets. They're licensed, bonded, and insured. Do business with them. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
.104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the 2025 Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The following local businesses have also pledged to match your donations throughout the month: Lewis Mechanical, Patient Plus, and Action Industries Plus, Subaru of Baton Rouge, Service Chevrolet, Luba, and Duplessis Pool Builders. Visit 1045ESPN.com to help us reach our goal, and together we can make dreams come true.
Been talking to SEC baseball today. Did you happen to catch the results from Knoxville over the weekend?
I did not, actually.
So let me tell you how that series went.
All right.
In the first game, Tennessee threw a no-hitter and run-ruled A&M 10-0. So you're talking about an A&M team that at that point was 1-. So they had played 9. So they were 1-8. So they were 1-9 in league play. Is that right? Yeah, 1-9 in league play, having been no-hit and run-ruled. They came back and played a doubleheader the next day, and A&M swept the doubleheader and run-ruled Tennessee in the finale. So they won the series, swept the doubleheader, took 2 out of 3 after being no-hit. I was ready to come on here and pronounce Texas A&M deceased after being swept in Knoxville and no hit in the opening game of the season. And they showed some life, came back in and beat the Vols 2 out of 3 in the series. I am prepared now to come on and call Florida's season deceased.
Oh.
They're 1-11. They're cooked. You cannot come back from 1-11, not as injured as they are, not with what they've got in their rearview mirror. It's just not doable at 1-11.
So,
they will not be in the tournament.
Yeah, so we had our question that we gave a couple of weeks ago about which of those teams was going to make the tournament. So Florida's out. A&M is still in it though.
So Florida would have to go 12-6 the rest of the way to have a shot, and I just don't see how that's going to happen.
Don't think it's going to either.
They've been swept at home twice. Swept by Georgia in Gainesville, swept by Vanderbilt in Gainesville. So that dog's not hunting.
No.
All right, let's play Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
All right, first one here. Happened to see this. Actually, you put the tweet in the document. So this is from Hunt Palmer. He found this. The 2 longest losing streaks in college baseball will officially play each other on Tuesday. Yeshiva, I'm guessing, I don't know if these are both Jewish schools, but I'm guessing Yeshiva is probably a Jewish school. They carry a 99-game losing streak.
That's not good. 99 losses in a row is not a quality performance.
No,
not
it's
a good effort.
Dating back to 2022, so this is 3 years that it's been going on.
They have not won a baseball game in 3 years.
While Lehman has lost 42 straight since 2023, so theirs is just only 2 years long, so a little bit not quite as bad as Yeshiva, but Lehman is 17-0 all-time versus Yeshiva, averaging 15 runs per game, while Yeshiva averages 3.76 in the series. So I'm guessing Lehman's probably a heavy favorite in this one. But
they're heavy favorite on a 44-game losing streak.
Yeah, they probably are, huh? I mean, take it or leave it. 99 and 42-game losing streaks.
I need to go to this game. I need to see the game.
How bad is it?
I need to see why these teams can't, at any point, luck into winning a baseball game.
That's hard, man.
At some point, somebody's got to hit a 3-run double.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do something
to
make it work.
I feel like baseball is the sport where it's kind of like the Oakland A's, where they had that ridiculously long winning streak, the Moneyball thing, and it's like it's just random.
Streaks don't happen very often in baseball.
No.
And to lose 99 baseball games in a row is almost impossible. Why?
It is.
Who's the coach? What does he do?
Maybe they probably have gone through a few coaches, I'm guessing. I would
hope. If we're talking
hope.
about terrible baseball performances, by the way, I'll toss this in. Missouri played at Arkansas this weekend. This is just completely out of left field, but I guess that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Missouri played Arkansas game 1 of the series. They did not pitch to Arkansas in the 7th because they got run ruled. So they pitched 6 innings. They had 14 walks in 6 innings. I mean, just unconscionable that you could do that. It just drives me insane. I don't know how anybody could sit in the Missouri dugout and watch that. 14 walks in 6 innings. Atrocious. Kick them out of the league. It's like the Happy Gilmore. You got to kick them off the tour, Doug. You got to look at the SEC commissioner and you got to go, look, Greg Sankey, you got to kick him out of the league. I cannot watch this team try to play baseball. They are 0-12 in league play.
All right, next one here. Monster Jam. Take it or leave it.
I mean, look, Myers had
Take
fun.
it or leave it, Hunt.
I got to leave it.
Leave it alone.
It's just not for me. I'll tell you what was just shocking. We all wore headphones because it's really loud.
Yeah, you
there.
have
I
to.
expect it to be loud. I did not know that it was going to be impossible to communicate seat to seat.
No, you cannot.
During Monster
Not
Jam.
possible.
We were just trying to figure out what we were getting from the concession stands, and we could not have a conversation. I'll say this, though. We are really, as a society, picking up the concessions efficiency game. I was in the Dome. You walk up, they got grab-and-go hot dogs, grab-and-go chicken tenders, like a fridge full of all the drinks with all the Cokes, Powerades, beers, seltzers. Everything's right there. They've got all these little checkout stations. You don't wait in line. The efficiency level on the concessions was the highlight of the trip. I don't need to see these guys doing the exact same thing over and over again, balancing a monster truck on 2 wheels. It's just not great.
All right, well, that's understandable. I remember going when I was a kid, and I don't remember if I had earplugs or not, and I was just like, I couldn't hear anything for a couple days.
It's bad.
Not good.
We had the headphones on. All right, winding things down here. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. See you tomorrow. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Hey, it's Amy Brown from the Bobby Bone Show. Join me in supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for a chance to win a trip to meet Megan Maroney at the 2025 iHeart Country Festival in Austin, Texas on May 3rd, hosted by Bobby Bones. We're going to hook you up with tickets, flights, hotel, food credits, and a meet and greet with Megan Maroney. Take action now to support St. Jude and help cure childhood cancer, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win. Visit iHeartCountryTrip.com to learn more.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.